Wow. I was almost done and realized that I wasn't recording. Take two. Hi, guys. Really enjoyed being with you kids today. It was such a wonderful time. Our space is beautiful. We could use some more lighting. So, if you happen to run across a really cheap floor lamp, I wouldn't mind spending a little bit to get a few because we need a little more light in there. Today was dim outside and it was pretty dark. It was fun. We loved the space. And it was just calming, I think, to be in that larger space. I loved it. Thank you, Gina, for the whiteboard. Our whiteboard situation is perfect. I have that whiteboard, and then I have another easel board that I can put a big chart pad on, and so that worked perfectly. I was able to buy one of those yesterday, so we're in good shape. In Latin, we got our heads back on straight. We first looked at a picture, and the students had to try to come up with every Latin word that they could relate to the picture. It was a little competition between the three groups, and that was super fun. Then we did another exercise in which the students drew 3 cards. One card, this was all first conjugation verbs. One card was the 4 principal parts. They took the second principal part, found the stem, and then they had another card that had the person and another card that had the tense. So they created a new verb using the 3 items drawn, and they really enjoyed that. It was fun. It was good practice, and everybody did well. In logic, we cut it short. We cut it short because we did more in Latin and we did more in exposition. Jasmine did an amazing job of showing us a conversion problem of feet to miles. In exposition, rich discussion on the secret garden. I think all but 2 students really loved this book. And I introduced the 5 common topic of definition. In order to teach that, we practiced a definition, 5 common topic definition on on Dickon. And Dickon is the one that we decided to write our class issue on. Should Dickon have helped Mary tend the garden? So we dug into Dickens' character and used that 5 common topic of definition to generate some thought and help us fill in our Annie chart. Man, I love this book. It's so good. In research, when we came back from lunch, we went over our science fair projects, and so the students just shared their projects, where they are now, went through some of the pieces. I tried to offer some feedback. So here are the things that you want to help your student hone over the next few weeks as we prepare for final science fair. Make sure that they can give a summary of what their experiment was about. Make sure that they can share some kind of science behind the why. They should be able to do a little bit to explain. So, part of this was for them to learn how to implement the scientific method. Part of this was for them to do some research, learn a little science behind their experiment. The next part is, can you communicate what you've done? One of the marks of a good science fair project is that you are able to replicate the experiment. We can't replicate the experiment if you don't really know what went on, what took place. So make sure your student can explain, this was the question that I had. I wanted to see the effects of LaCroix on the ink pen. It needs to be a very specific question. that you start out with, you know, your hypothesis, your materials, your procedure. You're going to have a bibliography on there. But we need to have some specifics of what's the science behind why did that LaCroix dissolve the ink pen. There needs to be a little explanation there, and someone needs to be able to look at their board and generally understand what took place and why. But the student is also going to give a verbal presentation, and they should give a clean, concise explanation of this is what I did, these were the results, here's the science behind it. So I asked questions and gave some tips to a few or all students that presented today, and so you can talk with your student about that. Reasoning, man, you're gonna have to like make them put The Fallacy Detective down. They love this book. It was so fun having this discussion today. This is going to be a light strand, just like reasoning last semester with analogies. Don't worry about really spending a lot of time with them, because if you will note in the guide, we are to read those lessons in class. So I don't plan on doing much with Ember during the week. The classroom discussion really is enough, and they love it. You're not going to have to ask them twice to read this. In debate, we began working on Asia. And so we'll be doing this over 5 weeks. We have started with Western Asia. And again, we're just working on each week. They should try to do a big map so that they don't totally forget everything that they have been working on, as well as all of the new. So at least once a week, I would encourage your student to do a big map to try to get those big landmarks in there. Tropic of Antarctica, or the Circle of Antarctica, the Circle of Arctic, the Equator. If you can get some of those big things in there, it will help you with proportion and placing. I think that's everything. As always, please let me know if I can help you in any way this week. If you are struggling in any way, if I can help you with resources, I'll be glad to send you the game I don't know if you really want to call it a game, but the exercise that we did in Latin. I'll be glad to send that to you. That's something that your student can use to practice at home. So I will forward that to you, but you guys have a great week, and I guess next week also, because we're off on Monday, right? Isn't that Martin Luther King Day? So enjoy. I'm here if you need me.